SeatGeek is the easiest way to find the best deals on tickets to pretty much any live event. Concerts, sports, theater, comedy, whatever you want. Download the SeatGeek app today and enter promo code SEATS to save $20 on your first purchase.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron Reiss, one of two new Mizzou beat writers at the Kansas City Star. You're about to listen to a Sports Daily KC podcast that I recently recorded with Gary Pinkel, a former Mizzou football coach. Coach Pinkel's kind of let me into his house for about an hour, and we talked about a whole bunch of stuff. Cancer, his favorite musicians, places he's traveled, and I think most interesting for me was what it kind of feels like to be still living in Columbia, still having a role at the Mizzou athletic department, and still being close to the team that he had control over for so long, as the Tigers are really struggling this year. 1-5, their worst record since the early 90s, and he gets to watch it close up and probably have some ideas about how to help, not know how to help. And he, of course, said he supports Barry Odom. He recommended him for the job, and he's behind him. But I still think there's some weird sensations there. We talked a little about that, and I wrote a story about that for the Kansas City Star that hopefully you'll read in the newspaper or at kansascity.com. If you check it out online, you'll see a great video by my colleague Shane Kaiser. So hope you enjoy this podcast, and I hope you read the story as well. Thanks. I want to do a few things here, talk about the book and just more generally. Now that the book's over, I know it's kind of, you did it so fast that it probably didn't feel like totally retired for a little while.
It was really done. I thought Dave did a great job. First of all, Dave Matter, and we had a very detailed organization how we're going to do it. And I'm kind of like that, and certainly he is too. And so we pretty much sat down, we got it all organized in November, and then the first part of December, except for Christmas this time. We went for the next 4 months, meeting once a week.
Yeah.
And he would just tape. We'd have a plan of our organization on that day. This is the things we wanted to cover. We'd go back sometimes and talk. We did that quite a bit, texting and calling anyway, after we went through a session when he was writing it.
Yeah.
And we just did that methodically all the way through. And he was also writing at the same time. And that's what he had to do. He had to put a headset on and write first person.
Yeah.
And I thought he did. He said it was really strange because he'd never done it before.
Yeah.
And he said it was very strange initially. And after a while, he just kind of locked in a different way.
Right.
And that's one reason I picked him, because he's been here for a long time.
Forever, yeah.
And he kind of, knew me probably as much as anybody. That's kind of why I went that direction. He did a great job.
Yeah, it kind of almost sounded like you.
Yeah.
Was that a weird sensation to read it?
Well, yeah, it was very odd. The whole thing's odd. It's a little bit self-serving, You're writing a book. It's an autobiography. I'd like to write another book called The Process or something like that about our system. Detailed, or what when I talk about our program, A to Z, what that means. It would be more of a business type book, coaching. So, it was really odd reading it. It was very odd.
Have you given presentations on the sort of process? Or I guess maybe you didn't do that when you were a coach because you didn't want to give away like company secrets. But do you think that would be something you would do now?
Yeah, I would do that now.
Yeah.
I would probably do that now. And all the coaches have our notebooks and the detail of all that stuff. And certainly it's in computers that they probably carried it with them wherever they went.
Yeah.
But I still, I saw talk so much about the program, and that was one of the biggest factors in coming to St. Louis when I was told by everybody, do not go to Missouri. And we're sitting in recruiting, one of the first times we started recruiting in St. Louis. What we told recruits was, there's a program that started at Kent State University.
Yeah.
Okay, it never won ever before there, and we won a championship. We went out to Seattle and won 6-7 national championships over an 18-year period of time, but they had never been to Rose Bowl for like 10 or 12 years. I don't know how many years. So that same program I took to Toledo, we won at a high level, and now we're dropping it here. So what that did, that gave a lot of confidence, I think, to what was. In other words, another coach. Here comes another coach. We're going to win at Missouri. Yeah, we've heard that for years and years, and I think that. Going through, that map there, of Kent State, Seattle, Toledo, and here, they perked up a little bit. There's a reason why, this guy's here and he has won based on empirical evidence that I gave him, and that really helped us a little bit. That kind of said, oh, okay, the plan of the program. and be able to show, the track record help us.
Is there anything that you think would have made that transition harder if you were to do it today rather than?
No, I don't know. I can't imagine it being harder. How difficult it was. It was really difficult, changing attitudes. And again, when we did this, we didn't come in and we didn't come here and try to, a quick fix and let's win as fast as we can. I told Mike Alderman in the interview, in our discussions, that we have a system and a program. He knew that because he knew my Washington background. And he was a associate AD at Arizona State. So that's where he was aware of me a little bit. That's how I got on his radar. Yeah. And, got a plan. We got a plan that works, but we're going to do the plan. We're not going to, be making changes all the time. I'm not going to get rid of coaches just to make it look like I'm, I got
trying to figure stuff out.
So anyway, that's kind of what we did. And fortunately, I had a great athletic director, working with.
So now that the book's out and you're kind of done with that project, do you feel like you're now more officially retired?
No, not really. No, not really. It just, I don't know. The whole thing's been, a kind of fun experience.
Yeah.
But it's I don't really look. I am retired, but I do a lot of stuff. So I got the book. I have 2 speaking engagements next week. One in Arkansas, and one in Kansas City.
Okay.
So I got I got a lot of things I'm doing. And most importantly, I get to do anything I want to do. Honestly, I get to do that.
Yeah.
And I've learned to enjoy that. I was head coach 25 years. The average Power 5 is about 5.5 years.
Yeah.
People have to remember that half the people in our business lose every week and half win.
Yeah.
And something's got to give somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to be head coach 25 years. It's a lot of ways that's unheard of anymore. And with all the pressure, of winning, and to a question we talked about a little bit earlier, there probably is more pressure now because of the amount of money that's in it than it was when I came here in 2001.
Yeah. I heard you got to go to Roots and Blues for the first time.
Yeah, how about that? I didn't know they existed. What a great event.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that it was as big as what it is. I understand it was in this town before, and they kind of moved it out. But that's very impressive. I mean, I just think it's really cool event for the city of Columbia.
Yeah. Which band did you like?
We saw a bunch of them. I mean, I don't no one in particular.
Yeah.
I just like I like jazz and
okay.
And I like any type of Motown music and that kind of music, and so I really enjoyed it.
Are there any cool concerts you have gotten to go to that you wouldn't have gotten to go to?
Oh yeah,
a
bunch.
Yeah.
Well, we went and saw Michael Bublé in New York City.
Oh, cool.
Went and saw Lionel Richie, Elton John, Paul McCartney.
Okay.
So I guess there's others too. We got a chance to saw Kool and the Gang this past summer at the Hollywood Bowl in California, and I'd driven by. They used to recruit in California 14 years ago. I was at Washington. I drove by the Hollywood Bowl a bunch of times, but actually, and it was what a remarkable experience that was. The Kool and the Gang were great. So my wife and I both really like music.
Yeah.
I like all genres almost.
Yeah.
But we really love music, and it's fun to go to different concerts.
Were any of them as performers like people you wish you'd gotten to see earlier when they were younger, or they still are pretty awesome?
No, it was more so just it was more so like Paul McCartney. I mean, the first time we saw them was in Kansas City, then we saw him again in St. Louis about a year or two later. But I saw him in Kansas City a couple years ago. I was like a little kid when he was introduced, into the arena there in Kansas City. When he walked out, I mean, I felt like a little. A little kid saying, because when they came out, I was I think 12 years old when the Beatles started, 1962. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and they were such legendary music. They kind of changed the whole route in which music went in their day, and Paul McCartney is a genius. And a lot of these guys are. Lionel Richie's he's remarkable. And it's really neat to be able to see some of these people. So that was one of the great things I ever did when I saw Paul McCartney, because I never thought I'd see one of the Beatles. I never thought I'd ever see him.
What was your favorite song that he performed?
I don't know. I like so many of his songs. That's hard for me to say. I'm not a big favorites guy. I like all his music. I know the words to a lot of them. That's how into it I was at the time.
What is it? Is that a weird sensation to like? There's almost like this whole other part of like a year that you now get to experience that you otherwise didn't get to.
Yeah, it is a lot different. There's no question about it. And there was an adjustment.
Yeah.
Don't interview my wife, so she won't have to do that. I say it kiddingly with some chuckles on that.
Yeah.
Write that. I had to. When you're used to being so. First of all, you're back away from it, and you look at your time and all the time you spent coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And all the time you spent speaking engagements and going to this and going to that. When I backed away from it was kind of mind-boggling to me a little bit. I mean, I just couldn't believe that I had lived that pace of life for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And so that in itself was significant for me. But you learn how to use your time. You learn that there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of things you can do. Yeah. I mean, I used to fish a lot and play a lot of golf, and I'm starting to play a little bit more golf now. I'll probably start fishing a little bit more, doing things like that that you really never had time to do.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I'm glad I did it. I just got back, from Mayo about 2 weeks ago, and my cancer's in remission.
Okay.
So I'm still in good shape there, and that's good. I'll go back every 6 months. That's what I do.
Uh-huh.
My doctor always reminds me that I will. Most likely, without question, probably have treatments again. So it's most likely going to come back. So we're going to see how long it can go. Yeah. I've always tried to live a healthy lifestyle, but so I can do I can do a lot of different things. When I was at Mayo getting treatment 2 years ago, it would have been in 15. When I got treatment, I would go into Mayo and I'd see all these people in there getting treatment. These people. And it was kind of when I got the treatment, got diagnosed, and then in the rest of June, the rest of July, and the rest of August, when I got those treatments over a 4-week period of time, it kept with me to see all these people, and so I'm coaching in August. We're 2-day practices and everything else, but in my spare moments, I'm kind of wondering, am I spending my time right?
Yeah.
These people there, how soon am I going to be going back there getting treatment? And if I do, am I going to regret someday this 80-hour-a-week lifestyle that I lived all those times? And that's when I started thinking about, I just don't know why I got to reprioritize things around here. But that was that influence of being Mayo and seeing all these people there, and they do remarkable help them. But all of a sudden, I kind of started looking at myself a little bit more. And you go coach for 2 more years, and then you get treatment. You're not going to coach again. And then did I waste 2 years when I certainly knew that down the road that's probably going to happen
again.
So. So I have no regrets. I have zero regrets of what I did. I had a good run. I was very fortunate, and it's now it's just kind of enjoying myself. My free time. I got 8 grandkids. And I live in Sedalia, Kansas City, and here. Yeah. And so it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I told you earlier. I had the year that I really covered the team when I was a student was the year that you retired, and it was interesting to me when hearing you kind of talk to reporters or answer questions during that process, because my mom had a blood cancer too, and she was a doctor and she continued to work. And it struck me there was a sentiment there, I feel like, where you kind of felt like you didn't know there was all this uncertainty of how you would carry yourself after the job or what you would do without the job, because people would ask you questions of if you'd go play a lot of golf, and you would kind of shake it off as though you wanted to explain that you needed to do something to really occupy and fulfill yourself. And that was kind of the same thing with my mom. I mean, she was sick but continued to work just because it was almost like being a doctor took her mind off of the other stuff.
But there's a lot of people that are like that, I would have never, I would still be coaching. There's no question about it. If I wouldn't, because I had 6 years left in my contract.
Yeah.
I had no intentions of doing that in any way. But I think, and the thing that I feel good about is I could break away from it and be okay. Like, I didn't need that to complete myself.
Yeah.
I didn't need, and this is just for me. Anybody else feels opposite, that's fine.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't need being the head football coach and coaching to fulfill myself. I'm going to move on, other opportunities. I get to do more with my own time, how I want to do it. And I feel real good about that.
Yeah. Do you feel like you ever did need it? Like when maybe you were 30 or something?
No. I think, but you have a profession you love. I loved what I did.
Yeah.
It was difficult. It was hard. It was a remarkably high stress job. But I loved what I did, and I was trained well. I knew what we were doing in terms of what we were going to do because of the system I learned. But it was okay. When time came, and make the decision why I did it, and I don't regret it at all. And my job didn't fulfill my life.
Yeah.
Other than my family and friends and grandkids and kids and everybody else, that probably was certainly a big part of it, which I can realize now.
Yeah. You said there was kind of a tough transition, I guess. What were some of the things that you found to be the hardest?
Well, a lot of little things. First of all, and I write about this in the book about my desk. I didn't have a desk. I mean, I get up in the morning, and usually getting up at 5:30, 6 every morning, working out, because I didn't have time during the day to work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but rarely. And then you get in and just, you just keep on going. And for me, I didn't have to get up that early. But, my system didn't know that. I had a friend tell me when I was, a friend of mine, a high school football coach in Toledo, one of my great friends, Pat Cacciardo, and he told me he retired a few years before, and he said, if you think all of a sudden, because all that pressure's gone, that you're going to sleep like a baby, he said to me, Gary, quote, it ain't going to happen. I said, what do you mean? I said, because it had been 3 weeks out, and I was sleeping pretty much, you don't sleep a lot, especially during the football season. And he just said, it's not going to happen. Your system has been doing this for so many years. It doesn't know. It doesn't know you're not coaching anymore. I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning almost every day during the season. And you hit things for half an hour, I figured some things out too. So it was really great that he told me that, because I thought I'd been going crazy. And I told some of my friends also that they retired the same thing. And you don't have to get up and out at 5:30 and work out. Although this morning today I was working out at 5:30 today. But you don't have to do that. You can space your time out a little bit more. You can have some coffee, then work out at 9:30 in the afternoon, depending on what you're doing. Or 9:30 in the morning, rather than at 6:30. So things like that, where the adjustment, not having my desk was huge, because I had a desk for 40 years as a coach and 25 years as head coach, and I have things set at my desk organizationally. And I'm kind of an organized, freaky guy, and so I had to go out and buy a computer. I had to do all kinds of stuff and put files in my desk and convert my desk, which I never used, into a working desk. Yeah. And once I got that was kind of okay. Yeah. I had my spot. Yeah. That sounds crazy, but I did. And then it's just downshifting, just using every minute of every day. You're busy. You've got stuff going on. I counseled 127 players. Yeah. I loved it. But all of a sudden, you're sitting here, you're doing what you're doing, and that's remarkably different. I mean, I can't explain anyway. It wasn't like I had a job and I saw people a little bit here and then. I did my job all day long. Well, I was dealing with people all the time. Yeah. And that's probably the thing I probably miss the most is being around players. Being responsible for a bunch of people? Just being around them, hugging them and kicking their rear end when they get kicked and seeing them mature, And young men at their banquet, they got the tuxedo on. And I remember what they were when they got here when they were 18 years old. Yeah. I really miss that. Yeah.
SeatGeek is the easiest way to find the best deals on tickets to pretty much any live event. Concerts, sports, theater, comedy, whatever you want. Download the SeatGeek app today and enter promo code SEATS to save $20 on your first purchase.
You were talking about how the biggest thing you miss is just kind of being, not even responsible before, but interacting with players.
Oh yeah, I love being around my kids. There's no question about that. That's the thing that I miss the most, being around them. I made a point all the time of always being around, going in the locker room before every practice. I'd usually stay at the weigh-in area so I could see every player because they had to weigh in before practice.
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy, how's it going? So I did that generally on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I was down there 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I would go in the weight room, and when the players were lifting, I'd walk through the weight room all the time. I just try to be, as a leader, try to be around my players all the time, rather than be the head coach sitting in a spot by himself.
Yeah.
And I kind of matured through that as I got coaching. I did it a lot more years later as I got experience coaching.
Yeah.
So I really missed being around the players and helping them. And the other thing I missed was just game day. I missed putting my headset on and on the sideline and the referee winding the clock. So let's kick this thing off.
Yeah.
And I was in a zone for 4 hours. I was gone. I was absolutely gone. And I loved it. And I felt so well prepared. Our team was so well prepared going into every game because of the detail of our preparation, the process that we do day by day through the week.
Yeah.
And we had a thing called Thursday checklist where our staff discussed about almost anything that could happen in a game on Thursday so we can intelligently talk about it without emotion. And what play should we call, what defense we should call, what we should do on these fake plays that we have in. Should we use them, not use them? What's the best calls on 4th and 1? All these things calls a Thursday checklist. I got that from Coach James. So I felt very well that we were a very well prepared football team game day.
Yeah.
And so I miss that.
So when you would get to those situations in the game, was it just like you just referenced a sheet? Or
A lot of it. I had a card with me on there, reference those type things.
Yeah.
And yes, but there was all constant communication all the time.
Yeah.
People don't realize that when a play's called out there, like let's say the defense is sitting in the chairs, they're off the field, they're not in the game. Our coaches are talking to them with their position coaches and trying to fix things and help them. So if the offense is out there when the play is going on, you have somebody watching the right side of the offensive line, someone watching the left side of the offensive line, someone watching the secondary, the fronts, all these things. So you got all these eyes. They're trying to get information so that we can use it to help our players win.
Yeah.
And so we just don't. I told my players, they see me out there. I'm not. Wasn't a real emotional guy on the sideline. I wanted them always to look at me that all the chaos that might be going on out there. You look at Coach Pinkel. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's under control. And so that's they knew that. I told my players, when I talked to them in August, we'd have team meetings all throughout the August camp. I talked to them. I said, I don't. When I have my headset on, I'm listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire out there. I'm coaching, and I kind of explain how I do it. And we kick an extra point. There's an extra point team out there. Then the guy gives me a number for we have 11 guys on the field set there. Then people are supposed to watch those spots. And then I'm sitting there. I go right over a headset to our kickoff coach, and who's in charge of kicking.
Yeah.
He tells us where we're going to kick the ball, who we're going to kick to. It might be the time of the game. Or we want to squib the ball, that kind of thing. So I was always managing the game. Yeah. And I really like that.
So why did you, given that kind of how you miss a lot of those things, or did at least for a while, I mean, I guess you mentioned that you didn't want an office on campus. What was kind of the reason that you felt like you wanted maybe some more distance, even though you were a part of the department still?
Well, I didn't want to be the hang around guy, around Barry and whoever got to be the head coach. I mean, that was not. I just didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to, I can go in there and get just much done here in my house. Yeah. But I just didn't want to be the guy. I just thought I had to separate myself and get away. And let them breathe and do what they do. Yeah. And I feel very comfortable. That was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Has that situation, just because you're still in town, I mean, has that situation ever been difficult to navigate in terms of, even if you're not trying to impose, feeling like, or getting the sense
that's not my role. Yeah. Barry and I have talked, several times, thus far this season. But there's I didn't have Don James calling me every 5 minutes and telling me what to do. So I don't do that. Yeah. And, it's a tough job. It's hard.
Right.
It's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress in that job. And I'm confident, and hopefully we're gonna work our way out of this.
Yeah. So you'd want him to call you. You would never. You're not.
Oh, I would never call him up. No, I would never call him up.
Yeah.
Never do that.
What do you? I mean, when you would call, when you would call coaches, whenever you were still a coach and try to get advice in the instances when you maybe did do that, I guess, what would you seek out from those people?
Well, I would call, Coach James a couple times. I didn't call Coach James a lot, but I called him a couple of really important things that I needed help. One was frustration that our program was not working as fast as what I wanted it to work. And, and he gave me the advice. He says, Gary, you can be doing all the right things you want to do, and you're running the program exactly what you want. But at the end of the day, you got to have players.
Yeah.
And so that really helped me. So, I stick with the program, which I'm going to do that. And then what happened was when we started getting more players drafted, we started winning more football games.
Yeah.
So it was
it's talent.
It's his brilliance of being able to answer that. Coach Frank Lauterbur was a head coach at Toledo, a great coach there. Was head coach at Iowa, coached in the NFL. For many years. I would call him up a lot, and he would always have a lot of great advice for things. I remember when I called him up and said, I want to start this. I got a redshirt freshman named Brad Smith.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start him over a starter. There's been a 3-year starter here. And I said, what do you think about doing that? And he goes, do you feel really comfortable? Sure. I said, yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
And he said, what's your gut feeling? Just tell me what your gut feeling is. So I think he's the guy. I think he's got remarkable potential. He says, go with your gut feeling. And so, that's a kind of an interesting conversation to see what Brad Smith's going to the Hall of Fame here in a few days, and what a huge impact that guy had in the University of Missouri football, which we needed.
Right.
We had a catalyst and a bunch of other great kids that kept fighting it out as we were building the program.
Well, he's getting inducted as the SEC Hall of Famer too, even though he didn't. That's always funny to me. But
there's going to be more. So the neat thing is there's going to be a bunch of other guys after that too.
Yeah.
So.
So, I guess, do you view it as you kind of wanted, if Barry were to reach out to you, just to be able to also kind of be that same sort of bounce ideas off?
I would always have.
Yeah.
But, that's, again, I didn't call Coach James probably during the season 5 times until he passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
In 22 years, I never called him probably 5 times. So, you don't have to get on the phone. You reflect back on. I always reflect back when I was making decisions on what Coach James had done or would have done.
Yeah.
That really helped me. And I remember every time when I was at Washington, every time things were going on, whatever the situation was, the kind of difficult things you got to deal with, whether it's personnel, whether it's offense or defense, I certainly recall how he handled those things, And that's what I did. I always took notes on things too, But, I didn't call him up all the time.
Yeah. Did you, I know, your career ended maybe differently than you expected. Did you always intend to retire here in Columbia? Or have you had United the stepchildren in Missouri? Or, did you ever think about going somewhere to Florida? Like you mentioned you'll probably be in Florida more. Did you intend to be around kind of as much as you are now? Yeah,
I would always want to be around a little bit, be associated with it. During the season here, and I go to all the home games and some of the away games. But Columbia, I've lived here, going on 18 years, and so that's goes back to Akron, Ohio. It ties the number of years I grown up in Akron. So, it's a great place to be. Lakes, we have a great time down at the lake, and we're pretty sure we'll have a home base here most of the time.
I know you didn't really pay attention to media when you were the coach, but now that you're again close and now doing kind of publicity with the book and stuff, has that been? And I've been on TV a lot as an analyst and stuff. Has that been interesting or weird to notice how much kind of attention is paid to?
Well, and not just football, not just Mizzou. When you sit back because you have time to look at things, the big picture is our country. When it gets, it sounds odd. This is what I felt the first year. All of a sudden it's the first week of September, and you got on Friday night around the nation, you got high school football going, and you got all day Saturday college football Saturday night, and you got all day Sunday. I was just always concerned about the University of Missouri, as head coach at Toledo, or what have you. And our world changes. The United States changes during the football season.
Yeah.
In the big picture. And I never felt that.
Yeah.
I was always doing my job, focused on what I needed to do. So that was a huge kind of a, I don't know even how what word to use, but that was it's a little bit overwhelming to think of the sport I loved. I did for 40 years, 25 years head coach. To realize that in all sections, whether it's or types, whether it's high school, college, or the NFL, it was football's like overtaking the country for 4 months.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Was it like shock at all?
Yeah, it was. It was. That's what I said. I took back. I mean, you can't because you don't think of that. You think of your job and doing your job, and you don't really think of what your opponents are doing. That's what you want to do because you got to beat them in order to. You don't really get it, and it's really cool. It's the great thing about football in our country. It kind of takes over in September and goes all the way through to Christmas.
Yeah. Did you at all feel like, just focusing on Mizzou, I mean, did you at all feel kind of surprised or have any sense of surprise at how much people cared about Mizzou?
I always knew there was passion. I never read an article after my second year at Toledo. I think it was. I don't think I ever read an article about me. Most of them were good. My career. Because you can see all the hardware there. Yeah. But I never did it for advice, and I never did it for critique. Yeah. I called people for critique. Yeah. And my ego didn't need it. Yeah. And most of the good stuff. And so I just learned to, I was much better at just focusing on doing my job. Yeah. And that worked very, very well for me. And I recommend to all coaches the same thing. Because if not, it can chew you up. Man. Yeah. It can just knock you. It just can be very difficult.
Do you think it's harder now? Did it get harder to block that out as you?
Well, no. I think you just learn to do it. Yeah. You don't get any Twitter. You don't get any, all the social things, all the things that are bouncing on your phone, which I now get all the time. I see all these things that are happening. You just can't, you don't have the time to do it, but it'd be overwhelming. You can't focus on doing your job. Yeah.
Who handles your Twitter now? You?
Well, my wife helps me a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't do a lot of it. I just kind of like some stuff for ex-players and things that they put on. That kind of do some of those kind of things. But it's. I miss my secretary Ann here. I had a secretary in Toledo named Nancy. And I'm just telling you, I miss them. I miss I got to do all this stuff on my own. And everything else. But I'm having a good attitude and learning, trying to get better.
So do you have your Twitter account set up to a text message or something? Because I remember one time you tweeted something like flipping cars in Jeff City.
Yeah, I don't know. I messed something up. I don't know what it was, but it was. If that happened, Johnny, it was me. Yeah. I had a person that handled my Twitter, did a great job for me during the season. I'm aware of what's going on. Information. I don't read a lot of the articles still. I don't. Serve to, kind of look at my thoughts and on them rather than anybody else.
Well, you probably have more of an inside track on it than any of us.
In some respect.
What was the article that you said you stopped reading after your second year at Toledo? What was the? Do you remember what the story was?
I don't know. I think it wasn't just in general. I think I got back to what Coach James told me when I left. This is in my book. When I was going for my interview at Toledo, and I went in the office, gave him a hug, said thanks for all you did for me, and I'm walking out, and I look back in his office, and I look at him and say, "You got words of advice?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got a lot. I have something for you." I said, "What is that?" And he said, "When things get tough," and he said, "They're going to get really, really tough. You focus on doing your job." Yeah, and Toledo, I think the first year or so, you just read articles and where it was. And there was just a point where I thought that, we were struggling a little bit, and I read one or two that articles weren't very good, and I just went right back to what he told me, Yeah. Back away. You don't need that. Just focus on doing your job. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah. That makes sense. Do you think that amount of attention, as you notice how kind of overwhelming it is now, or the amount of media attention that gets paid to this stuff, does that affect the climate, you think, for football coaches?
It affects a lot of people. I've seen a lot of coaches that can't, they have people looking at them and reading them and things like that. Now, you have to understand this, too. It's very important. Chad Muller was awesome for me. We worked so well together. And I always knew on Sunday afternoon or Monday the climate that's out there. because I had to know what my players are reading and seeing.
Yeah.
And also, we always he checked all their quotes because we had to deal with the media in a responsible way.
Yeah.
This is social networking; it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a responsible way that you do it. But Chad, I always you just don't sit there and say ignore everything. That I could never do that. I had to understand the climate out there, and it didn't matter who wrote about it or what the feelings were, what alumni or whatever. That didn't matter. I just knew what my players were going through, and that enabled me to, deal with them and do the right things with them.
Yeah. As and you don't have to if you don't feel like answering this. I understand, but we talked earlier about how you were inherited a situation. You kind of took Mizzou to a different level. Mm-hmm. I'm curious. Do you feel as though there are different definitions of what constitutes like a turnaround situation?
No, I don't really want to go there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure in this job, and I think, it's difficult. So I'm not doing any evaluation like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
Retired life now. Do you feel totally settled in?
Yeah, I do. I miss running things too. I miss running things.
Yeah.
I ran an organization. People talking to me day in, day out, making sure everything's functioning in our building.
Yeah.
And all the systems and everything's, the process of daily making sure that things were getting done the right way by everybody in our building every day. And a lot of problem solving. You're running problems, and that was really what you did. You just made sure that it was efficiently run the right way. That was what our program was about. And I miss doing that. But I don't. When you back away from it again, it's you back away. You look back at it, and you feel so blessed that you were part of so many great people and players and coaches. And we did a lot of great things at the University of Missouri.
Yeah.
But then I'm okay now. I can move on. I don't need to be I don't need to be coaching to fulfill myself.
Yeah. You step back. Is it crazy to think about the people you were in charge of?
Yeah. Not maybe so that. To me, it was kind of just the pace of your life. I mean, you're working during the work week. We're 80 hours a week easily. And the rest of the time, honestly, except for February, in January, recruiting all the time. So to put those hours, you're going all the time in January. And first week of February, you're doing the same thing. And then you're starting. Our coaches start making visits in February to different places so we can professionally advance ourselves. And we got winter conditioning. It kind of all goes by calendar. And then you got recruits coming in on the weekends. Just this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just never stopped. The time frame, how much time you spent on your job, you didn't think about it when you were doing it.
Yeah.
When I backed away, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, how did I do this?
Yeah.
And you're so busy here. I mean, being a head coach at Toledo, you were busy a little off season, or you were busy, but here it's just a lot different because for speaking engagements and things you had to do because you had to get, you had to go out and market ourselves. And the different things that you have to do and are responsible for, it's different. But I'm really glad I backed out of it.
Yeah, because it mentioned in your book that you when you were a player, you didn't even have to stay at school during the summer to work out or anything. So I guess now it's probably more of a 12
kids are there all summer long.
Yeah,
you really got 1 month when your kids are completely away, and that's generally the month of May.
Yeah.
Right when finals are over until they come back in June.
Yeah.
And it's great because we're graduating kids like we've never done before because they're going in the summers also. So it's really good, and you get to work out with them there.
Yeah,
you get to have them there working out. But they're there. I mean, for all the social responsibilities or any issues that you have, and everybody has them. And most of them you never even hear about because you got to deal with things internally, and it's just never ending. It never stops. And I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know. They're talking about having visits now in the summer and things like that, official visits down the road here. And I don't know if the life of a coach and his family, where does that rate?
Yeah.
Where I mean, how is it worth it? Because it's not the best thing for coaching and families.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing.
Yeah. Anything that's happened since you retired where you're like, oh gosh, I don't miss that?
Well, that's probably the recruiting calendar, what they're doing now, all those things. That's the quality of life. What I did when I was at Toledo, I did something different. After my first 3 or 4 years, I just felt I wanted my coaches to see, and technology changed because computers did so many more things than then. So that's when I kind of changed. So I tried to get my coaches home at 7 o'clock. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, rather than work until 11.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember that.
Yeah, and that's something because I just can you be successful, and let your coaches go home, kiss their kids, to bed when they go to bed, or have late dinner with their kids.
Yeah,
and I never got a chance to do that, and so we did that. And I always say this too, and I said this in my book: if you tell me if I stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning or 11:30 every night that I'll win one more game, then I would do it.
Yeah.
But I never felt that was the case. And I think one of the reasons why my staff stayed together as long as it did was, I think, had a lot to do with it. There was a lifestyle that they would talk to other coaches and say they would never see their kids till Wednesday night. And our deal was just different. And I think it lent itself in a really positive way that you can coach, have a family, and be successful.
I'm no good after midnight. Like after midnight, I can't do any work.
No, I can't. I mean, I don't know. Been a long time since I did that. But you always, you don't. The other thing is you don't sleep. So anyway, it really is amazing the amount of time that people put into games.
Yeah, you got big retirement plans? You told me you're maybe go see the Indians play in the World Series that they got there.
Yeah, I mentioned before too. I went to. Since this happened, I went to see the Cleveland Cavaliers. The year not this past year, the first year out. This is for that I got a chance to go see the in a NBA Finals. So I got a chance to go to that game in Cleveland, which is grew up in Akron, and so that was really cool. Got to do that. Went to the national championship game. Went to the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna get to the Masters here. I've been to the U.S. Open, some of those other things, but so there's a lot of little things I want to do. And we like to travel. Don't have a lot of time sometimes, but the times we do, we get a chance to bounce around, do different things.
Yeah.
Love music and like to. Like I mentioned, we have Paul McCartney, and you have Lionel Richie, and you got I can go on and on with all these people. We're very fortunate.
How many countries have you been to?
Well, I was never to Europe till I 2.5 years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
When I was in your honeymoon, and we flew into Paris. We stayed there for a few days, and then we went to Monte Carlo.
That's cool.
Bounced around there, and so we had a phenomenal time.
Yeah.
Always scared about going out, and not scared, but I feel much safer being around here than being anywhere else. Even though we got our own problems. But it was a neat experience. It was really, really a cool experience.
Yeah. And
I would do it again. I'd have to just be a little bit guarded.
Yeah. Where else do you think you want to go?
I'd like to go. I'd like to really much go anywhere. There's a lot of great places in this country too that I haven't been to. So there's so many beautiful places. We're going to go in a few weeks. We're going to go to Seattle.
Okay.
My wife's never been to Seattle, so we're going to go there. I was there 12 years, so we owe Coach James's statue.
Yeah.
He asked me to speak at that, and I'm going to give her a tour of Seattle. So
that's pretty cool.
It's going to be fun.
That's probably changed a lot since you lived there, though.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. It has. I was there last year. I went to a game last year because I wanted to get to a game. And so I've been, and that was odd, being the last time I was at Husky Stadium, I was calling plays. I think we beat Washington State that year, and we went to the Rose Bowl. So it was a little different, backing away from it.
Yeah. Are you gonna go to Washington State at all? Your nephew's
doing. Well, I was real proud of Alex. He's doing a great job. He's getting a lot of recognition for what he's done. Now that's been a whole different thing with our family here. So I tell my sister, I said, okay, this is Alex's mom. I tell her, okay, this is how it's going to work. Okay, I'm going to reluctantly root for the Cougars. Okay, unless a game that they win would knock the Huskies out of a bowl game or something, then I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And her body language wasn't very good when I told her this. And there's also, when they're playing the Huskies, there's no way in the world I could ever root for Washington State, the Cougars. It's not going to happen. It's kind of like the Mizzou Kansas thing.
Yeah.
And she didn't like that. Her body language was not very good at all. But the truth is, Mike's done a great job there. Leach
Yeah.
and Mike and I are friends, and it took him a while to do it, but he's doing a heck of a job, and I'm real proud of Alex.
When Mizzou played Mo State, any part of you rooting for Dave Steckel?
No, I can't. never,
Yeah.
never ever. That way.
Yeah.
But they did pretty good. I thought they battled pretty good. They got a little tired at the end, but I thought they battled pretty good.
You're a free agent now, so you can kind of root for whoever.
Yeah, well, but when Mizzou's up, we're rooting for Mizzou.
Yeah.
Washington's Washington, or Toledo's Toledo.
Yeah.
Unless we're playing Toledo, something like that. But I'm a loyalist to those schools, and always will be.
If Washington plays Toledo, which one wins out for you?
I just go neutral. I get out of that one.
Yeah.
The most difficult thing is what do you wear at the game?
Yeah.
That's the most difficult one. So
Split T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, we played Toledo, and we played Toledo twice.
Yeah.
So they're doing a really good job. They got a heck of a coach, and they're doing a great job there.
Well, thank you.
Take that.